How you guys doing? Marty is back, and I'm with my dear friend Jim, from owner of Iwas Recordings, and we were quite inspired by our friend Ben's sort of recent video. Him and Ron discussed their top 5 most meaningful metal albums. So we thought that we would copy them and share in the discussion, and give our opinions on some albums that mean a lot to us. In the background, should you be able to hear it, is Vector's Terminal Redux. Excellent thrash from the States. So, meaningful albums, Jim.
Meaningful albums.
Hard to choose. 5.
Yes, an impossible task. But I just tried not to think about it too much. Just kind of grabbed things I just knew meant a lot, and also things that kind of reflect who I am now, but never wavered in the power they have over me. You know? So
right.
That was kind of it. Didn't end up being as difficult as I initially anticipated.
It wasn't difficult for me to choose these albums, but I would think every week there would be additions or changes. You know,
Yeah.
I mean they're basically constants. They've been constants in my life since I've heard them, and I think I could pick 5 meaningful albums for every era of metal.
Yep.
And,
Agreed.
and oh fuck, I actually forgot some shit.
Of course you did.
Oh well, this is not the best representation. I mean, it's tough. It's really hard to nail it down, but I found myself gravitating towards the earlier years where I first started getting into metal. Was my most formative years in the music I still listen to quite often, and I could choose different albums for every era, but rambling. Why don't you start it off?
All right.
We're gonna go back and forth.
Okay. I decided to skip like what I started with hard rock and metal, and I wanted to go with things that really represent who I still am. Though I will go ahead and put out there Twisted Sister, Stay Hungry, right out of the cellar. Those are great entry points for me into metal.
I had a little spell with Rat back in the day too.
Fucking, come on, man. Wanted Man, Back from War, good shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, should surprise no one. Celtic Frost, Morbid Tales.
Excellent.
I actually heard Jamaica Theory on first, and still one of my all-time favorite albums. But for whatever reason, the one I find myself grabbing the most often is Morbid Tales. Primitive, dark, great lyrics, courtesy Martin Ain, but just the sheer rawness and darkness of this album, grabbed hold of me, never let go, and
I never really heard anything that heavy.
No.
In 1985 or whenever that came out.
No. I've literally been breaking my neck to this for longer than I want to say, and will continue until I'm dead. So
yeah, never gets old. Timeless
never gets
music.
old. I know you've all listened to this, and if not, go fuck yourself.
All right, next up, I had to start with a comp because early on in my years of getting into metal, compilations were very important. The Best of Metal Blade, Volume 1 and 2, very instrumental in me getting into, heavier music. But this album in particular, Doomsday News, the first ever Doomsday News, which is the first Noise International comp. This album really... This was an inspiring comp for me, and it put a lot of bands on here that took power metal, which was what I was into at the time, like Dio and Ozzy and Maiden and shit like that, and started to add more of a speed metal twist to it. Bands like Death Row, Corner, Tankard, Sabat, Scanner, Celtic Frost, Creator, Voivod. I mean, this is the label that I tried to model my own label after. You know, Noise International. You see the Noise International logo on a release back in the day. You knew it was going to be good and amazing. Of course, as time went on, that changed rather quickly. But yeah, this is one of those comps I would put on and just be completely floored by every single band on it. And to this day, I still, you know, the first Halloween, Creator, all the early Creator stuff, Vendetta, Rage. I've never been a big Rage fan, but I do like the song and I do like some of their songs. But very instrumental. This was like the gateway drug from the power metal into the thrash, and from there it continued to get worse and worse and worse. Did you ever have this one?
I never had that comp, so I'll have to spin that sometime.
It's fucking killer. I mean, every song on this is a headbanger for sure. But that was my first choice. So, you're up, Seth.
All right, well, the debate rages on. And no, it's not because it's a 30-year anniversary. It is because it happens to be my favorite Slayer album. First time I heard this, I was riding on a bus listening to Anthrax, and there was a guy making fun of me, saying that I listened to pussy thrash, and that if I wanted to be a man, that I would listen to Rain and Blood. So he handed me his Walkman. Yep, that's how old I am.
Was this on the bus?
On a school bus.
Did you know the guy?
Yeah, he was a fucking asshole, but he had great taste in metal, and from the fucking first 2 seconds of Angel of Death, I knew my life was changed forever. And so this album, fucking hands down, just destroyed me, and still does. You know, I think it's fucking 28 minutes of pure fury.
Flawless.
Everything has been said about this. You know the story. Drinking Stella Artois in the back, awesome. You know, it's just great. You know what's up. You know, don't be a dick. You know this shit's awesome, and it will never leave my collection in any way, shape, or form. So there it is.
I remember being a teenager and cranking that in my room quite often, and my mom came in, Marty, dinner's ready, and as soon as she opened the door, just begun to take your fucking life. She looked at me and she went, "Nice song, son. Dinner's ready." Shut the door. But the cool thing about my folks were they never discouraged it. I know your story's a little bit different on that, but no matter what was being said or what sort of demonic shit and swearing they heard coming from their son's bedroom, it was all okay.
My parents were cool about it until something happened. I didn't do laundry once or something, and then my dad poured Clorox bleach all over my Slayer shirts in a load of laundry. So that sucks. But hey.
What are you going to do? Mm-hmm. Next up, this is earlier stuff again for me, and this album is amazing from start to finish. Fate's Warning, Awaken the Guardian. This album and this band really, back in the day, this was before shit was really super extreme. You know, there was other stuff. What year was this? Fuck, I don't remember.
85?
86.
86.
You know, there was Celtic Frost. There was heavy shit, but, you know, being young, I was still really clinging to the power metal sound, and this album offered so much atmosphere. It was, like, mystical. It's like a complete world-building album as far as I'm concerned, and I can still listen to this, and it takes me back to those feelings and, you know, driving around the cemetery, jamming, you know, spooky music. Not that Fate's Warning is necessarily spooky, but, you know, The Sorceress, Giant's Lore, Prelude to Ruin, Guardian. I mean, there's some fucking atmosphere pouring out of here. And this was before the black metal era, so it's a different kind of atmosphere, but it's just as mystical. You know, it reminded me of the East Coast during the witch trials. It's that kind of feeling to me. And this album will always, 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 always be right up there in my top 5 best favorite albums. And yeah, if you young bloods haven't heard this, definitely give it a spin and enjoy.
Fate's Warning, an absolute must.
Absolute must.
Especially the early stuff.
Yeah. I'm not so much into the Ray Alder stuff.
Yeah. I I like
No Exit.
No Exit was awesome.
Decent, but
pretty much fell off from there.
They fell off. Yeah.
Another album that needs no introduction. Death, Leprosy. First time I heard Death was on the Ultimate Revenge 2 VHS.
Yep.
And which I purchased because Dark Angel was on it, and also Forbidden. And
No, you're not Faith or Fear. They weren't the
Faith
pull.
or Fear was on it, and I did like them.
They weren't the big pull for you.
They weren't the big pull, but I did like them as well. But I had seen this cassette. A friend of mine had it, but I hadn't listened to it quite yet. And then I just remember, from the first fucking notes from Left to Die, which is what they opened with, I was like, this is the future of fucking metal. And I mean, obviously, it had already started with Scream Bloody Gore, but for me, it was new and fresh, and I'd never heard anything like it. And I immediately, from that moment on, became a death metal fan, and it was like my favorite genre. It just eclipsed everything else, and I couldn't get enough of it, honestly. So, yes, if you've ever wondered, Leprosy, Forgotten Past, Born to Die, Left to Die, Pull the Plug, Open Casket, Choke On. I mean, there isn't a bad song on this whole motherfucking record.
No.
The snare sound, I mean, it's just godly, everything about this record, and it holds up to this day. It's just pure, unadulterated death metal, unapologetic, and, do yourself a favor. If for some fucking weird reason you haven't heard this, change that right now, and you will not regret it.
So, Leprosy or Scream Bloody Gore?
For me, it's Leprosy. Now Scream Bloody Gore, don't get me wrong, Mutilation,
No, I love Mute, yeah.
and I don't know, I can't right now. I'm pulling a brain fart.
Zombie Ritual?
Zombie Ritual. Awesome song. But
For me, it was Scream Bloody Gore, and I think, like with a lot of these bands, it's where people's jumping in point is. The first album they hear is the one that's like, this is the best album, and this album to me is just as good as Scream Bloody Gore, just produced a little bit better, and you can't go wrong. I mean, all the death stuff up till the end was Sound of Perseverance. I'm not quite down with. I know that's kind of a hot topic with a lot of people, but
I like all albums, but definitely, Sound is Perseverance is my least favorite, but I like them all. They all have their own character, and just really the only band I listen to that I can put on anything they put out and have a good time with it.
Oh yeah,
anyway,
absolutely.
Left to Die, world changing for me. If not for you, hopefully it will be.
All right, keeping on the death metal tip is another one that really needs no introduction. Entombed Left Hand Path. This was a blind buy when I was down in Grand Rapids shopping through an old store called Vinyl Solution, which is just wrong. I never thought about it then, but that name is kind of strange. But anyway, this was in the rack. I bought this in the Grind Crusher comp the same day. I bought this for the cover and the Crushing Guitars Mass Death tagline and the hype sticker, which is stuck, unfortunately, right on the record. But this is an original pressing, and I put this on, and this album on vinyl is thick as a fucking bison. It just sounds so sick and so thick. Perfect guitar tone. The riffs are here. I mean, for me, Swedish death metal, I mean, it was, once I heard this, I fell in deep, endless love with Swedish death metal, and I will always have a soft spot in my heart for that style. But this is the best Entombed album. I mean, there's no denying. Everybody will say Clandestine, but that album is a mess. It really is a mess. But this album, the songs weren't so technical and forced. I mean, they were just natural, flowing, well-written, heavy riffs, good vocals, good lyrical placement, good vocal sound. This is a monument in the death metal scene, and completely spun me around when I heard it. This and Carcass early on, where they were like world-changing albums, and check it out if you have not. I'm sure you have. Everybody's heard this album. What do you think about that Clandestine?
I like it. You know, the vocals are just kind of
Terrible.
okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We could have a discussion about that album. That album. I don't know. Anyway, go ahead.
It would be Clandestine Night in the Vine Room basement.
Yes.
I guess everything I'm pulling out for me
Classics.
anyway is classic and needs no introduction. But you know, Morbid Angel, Altars of Madness. You know, any extreme metal band worth their salt has some sort of riff homage being lifted from Trey Zagthoth off this record.
Oh yeah.
This was another one that you know, fucking threw me for a loop. I heard it on the aforementioned a track off of it from the aforementioned Grind Crusher comp, Chapel of Ghouls, and to me it was the most satanic, evil sounding shit I'd ever heard.
Well written, so good.
I went out, I literally went the next day and bought the CD, which I still have, the CD from whatever the fuck, 89, and but Grind Crusher was like a year later or whatever. But anyway, Trey, you know, like the fucking, you know, cutting his arm, crazy bullshit, just everything about it. I was like, ah, cool, some legit, you know, crazy ass Satan motherfuckers.
Over the top.
Yeah, over the top, you know, and you know, but it just it spoke to the darkness inside. And I never looked back. It's you know, I've never stopped listening to it. I mean, it's, you know, it's always within arm's reach, and I love the fact that it's influenced so many albums that I've loved that came out subsequently, you know, and you know, obviously, you know, Trey had some Possessed love in there. You can hear that influence from the first two, or the only two. I guess it was the only two Possessed full lengths, or first two, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just, yeah, and
The Eyes of Horror was the EP.
yeah, that's right. And but other than that, you know, Trey just kind of came out of nowhere, and with his guitar style, certainly with his lead playing, and you know, Pete's fucking, you know, drumming, you know, Commando was just a monster. And even though by today's standards it would be like slow, at the time it was just like, what the fuck is going on? It's like brutal satanic death metal with grind like snare hits, you know. That's what it sounded like to me, and it's just amazing, you know. But if you haven't, again, for some odd reason, listen to this, you know, do yourself a favor, educate yourself. You will not regret it, you know. And I'm not even gonna address what's going on with Morbid Angel now. It's not relevant, motherfuckers. What's relevant is that their first fucking 4 albums are untouchable, this one being the king of them all.
Dave Vincent, by far the most charismatic, awesome death metal vocalist on those first 4 albums.
Oh yeah.
He's got such a, you can understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
And such a good evil snarl.
Right. And on each of those 4, he sounded different each time.
Yeah.
But somehow it's just still worked.
Yeah.
You know, he had a different tonality on each of those 4 records, but each of those 4 records had their own character and shine in their own way. But
Every time I see them play live with him, it was like such a commanding performance. He just commanded the crowd and was confident and charisma and
oh yeah. You as one female fan put it at a Morbid Angel show, you will hate God by the end of it.
right. All right, I guess I'm up next. It really pisses me off that there's no Merciful Fate in this, because Merciful Fate's first 2 albums should be in this, but there's so many to choose. I don't know. But Bathory, absolutely. Blood on Ice. This is another one of those albums that's in my top 5, sitting next to Fate's Warning somewhere. But this was the album that was unfinished. He found in his vaults, and him and his dad pulled it out, threw it together, and there's some of my most favorite music of all time is on this. The Lake is easily the best song ever written. I'm saying it. It's out there. The Wood Woman is the second best song ever written. You know, yeah, I absolutely love the early Bathory. I love the early black metal style. It's so influential. And yeah, the Viking era of Bathory, he was ripping off Manowar. But he made it sound so much better than Manowar. Which, you know, I love me some early Manowar, but this album is special. It's a concept. It's passionate, atmospheric. It's a little clunky in spots because of the fake drums, but I love this album, and up until this point, everything he touched was gold. You know, once he got into Requiem and Octagon, stuff like that, it started to fall off the rails, but whoops, that'd be funny. Screensaver. Absolutely, one of my favorite albums, and this is very influential. It really turned me towards the slower, plodding, more atmospheric style, where I still spend a lot of... Right now I'm in a deep thrash rut, but this album in the wintertime definitely gets me out of that. Battery. Hail forth on.
I thank Marty for getting me into that one. That one was hard for me because of the vocals to get into, but now I fucking love it. So
The Lake. It's all about the lake. Best song ever written.
yeah, sometimes it's worth giving an album several spins, you know, and because once it connects, it can become your favorite or near favorite. You know?
Yep.
Most of us already know that.
I was gonna pick this too, but I'm like,
I have to go with the Mighty Bolt Thrower. They are one of the only bands that I have again everything they've done. But for as much as I like everything that came before it, you know, in Battle There Is No Law, Realm Chaos, War Master, even Fourth Crusade, which is my least favorite of theirs. But for Victory, though, just something happened on here. All the planets aligned.
ugh, most perfect album ever.
Oh yeah, the riffs.
Every riff
is amazing. The drums are perfect. Carl Willits, just the vocals are memorable, clear. Fist pumping. When I hear for Victory itself, the title track. I mean, I just always imagine like I'm in Braveheart with a fucking axe, like running towards someone. I mean, something about this fucking record just makes you feel like you're at war and experiencing the glory of a one battle with blood all over your head. But whatever it was, I mean, this album like really like embodies like its title, and it embodies the feeling of victory. And I don't care if you're having the worst fucking day in the world at work, or some asshole cut you off, on your way home, or whatever the fuck, you want to feel like you're king of the fucking shit pile. Put this motherfucker on.
Headbang.
Grab a fucking beer, air guitar, bang your head, and you won't give a fuck about anything else. Because this fucking album, to me, is godly. Absolutely one of the best death metal albums of all time. Hands down. So, yeah. Beautiful.
Ugh.
Sun.
When Glory Beckons.
A
Remembrance. Riffs and that are just fucking God.
Just, Joe Bench's bass is just the perfect blower bass sound. It just everything. I mean, it just gels. Nothing is on top of the other instrument. Everything you can hear, it's just perfectly balanced, and but not overproduced. It's just they hit that sweet spot of sounding good, but still sounding raw and metal. So
I've never seen them. I regret not going with you to Chicago to see them. I so regret it.
Yeah, I wish you were there.
God,
man.
it would have been.
It was amazing. So if they ever get back together, in some shape or form, do yourself a favor and see them live as well, because they are flawless live and a sight to behold. So anyway, Bolt Thrower for Victory. Yeah, as soon as this video stops, I mean, I don't know. I think everything I listen to is quite fucking essential. But but if you're just like a straight death metal fan, obviously Altars and for Victory, well, shit.
This is one of the best albums ever. It is.
I mean, really is. I mean, me and Marty, I mean, whenever we go out, we'll go out in the woods with some friends, bonfire, bring metal, and
that's on.
We always end up playing this album.
Yep.
Yeah, this is the one album that always makes it into the rotation.
Beer, fire, Bolt Thrower.
Yep.
Repeat.
It's a must. So do yourself a favor, have a good time, feel the power, Bolt Thrower for Victory.
Yes. And lastly, no, it's not Merciful Fate, which it should have been. Melissa, or Don't Break the Oath. Probably Melissa. But I had to do something that represented black metal, and this is not the first black metal album I ever heard. I did some tape trading back in the day, because this shit used to be really expensive. $25 for import CDs, but I think one of my first CDs was the Emperor and Slave split, and D Mysterious. But this album, I was hearing a lot of people talking about Burzum. Yeah, the Digipack is totally fucking wrecked. Burzum, they're great. So I at a show, one of the Metal Moms Death Fests down in Flint. I don't know, somewhere downstate. I just blind buy this and put it on for the first time and didn't quite understand what I was hearing. It sounded like no other band I've ever heard, and there's still Burzum to this day sounds like no other band. Oh. Have you ever heard a band that, I mean, there's a lot of people that
try to sound
rip them off, but it doesn't. There's something. This guy's a musical genius. You know, whether he's farting around on his Casio or writing amazing black metal, there's so much feeling and passion in this music, and darkness and depression. It's all in here, and to me, this Burzum is definitely a standout in the Norwegian scene. You know, him and Burzum and Dark Throne kind of got the whole scene and sound going. But I think this is probably my favorite out of all of the albums, which, you know, I could say that about all of them, really. The first album sounds underdeveloped to me, but I still like it. But this or Havis, Lisette Taros, or Philosophem, they could all be, it could be either one of those. But this is the first one I heard, and I love the instrumentals, the ambient guitar lines, and just the flowing dark motion in this album is astounding and like no other, really. The crying wounded orc vocals, fucking love it, and never gets old, never gets tired. And I wish Varg would go back to writing black metal albums again, because his post-prison albums were all really good, even the weird one. That's it. And again, there's so many things that I left out. But we, you know, this is kind of a fun little thing, and as we get more comfortable doing it, we might, if I can get him back here to do it again, if he wants to do it again,
we'll see.
We can just keep shoving records in front of your face of shit you should hear. Maybe we'll do it within genre. 5 meaningful albums per genre.
That'd be fun.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, thanks to Ben and Ron for getting the ball rolling on this. It's been fun.
Absolutely,
and,
you guys rule.
Yeah,
great idea.
Get Ron back into doing more videos too. He fucking rules, and you do too, Ben. But to all the rest of you, do one of these videos. It's fun. C-Town, let's see what you got, brother. And that's it. Till next time. Have a good one.